Do people ever call you a money therapist?
We get that quite a bit. Yep.
The only way in which I rebut that comment is because there are actual trained therapists who are really good at their job, and neither you nor I have that training.
Bingo.
So,
Welcome to the Physician Sense Podcast, a podcast designed specifically for physicians, offering a breakdown of complex financial topics to help you develop your financial IQ, further your financial journey, and improve your well-being. Whether you're a medical student, resident, fellow, or attending physician, you're sure to learn something new that will benefit your journey. And now, your hosts, Chad Chubb and Tyler Olson.
hey all, welcome to this episode of the Physician Sense Podcasts. I'm your co-host, Tyler Olson, and I'm joined by my sunshine, friendly friend, financial planner of all planners, Chad Chubb. Good to see you, Chad.
Always a pleasure, Tyler. Thank you for always the warm introduction as well. I try to bring that Florida sunshine to you whenever I can.
I like your shirt. It looks Southwest to me. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Fun story behind this shirt. I go out to a conference every year called Future Proof out in beautiful Huntington Beach. And we always have a little friendly golf tournament. And me and my partner, his name is Eric Rodriguez, another great financial advisor in the San Diego area. We like to beat up on Taylor Schulte every year. Taylor rotates partners, but Eric and I like to pick matching team jerseys. So this shirt is from the Bird Gang. We did not use these as our jerseys, though, but I thought it was a cool shirt. That's the story behind it.
Nice.
Usually I buy Chubby shirts. I like the Chubby's brand because my last name's Chubb, so I feel like people are like, oh, that guy probably founded them. I didn't, but it's fun. It's fun. So
Yeah,
thank you.
You could let them think that for a little while.
It's fun for a little bit. Still waiting for a discount when I walk in the store and like, maybe, like, nope, never works.
Well, cool. Well, I wanted to talk about something today. It resonates with me recently. I would say with the event that I'm going to describe having passed now, I realize that it is thankfully not a big deal, but it sure felt like a big deal in the moment. And it came up in my mind because a friend in the physician community shared with me something similar that happened to him recently that calls into question, or at least consideration, the value of money and wealth within the context of life, and how, things never go according to plan. We know that. But there are some moments in our life when tragedy can affect us, where we could lose something or someone that is so precious to us, or we almost do. And we have these moments can happen where we realize no matter how much money we've accumulated, none of it matters at that point. And it can cause us to rethink the order of operations or priority. And I think it's important to be able to consider the value of life versus the value of financial planning and wealth creation, because having wealth, having a plan, having the money that we need improves the quality of our life and improves the quality of life for our loved ones and into the future. So it's not an easy thing. And that's why I think there's been so many books and blogs and people talking about things like financial independence, retiring early. But then you have someone on the other end saying, die with zero. And I think they're not diametrically opposed to each other, but they are kind of opposed to each other in terms of what are we prioritizing, right? And I think it's just worth a discussion. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Was that nebulous enough for you?
That was beautiful. No, it's beautiful.
So what I'm referring to for myself personally is this last spring we were on a trip, and we're on just at a rest stop. And thankfully, actually, it was a national park. It was just like one of those welcome centers, a national park. And it was raining, and we were just going to stop to use the bathroom. And on our way back to the car, our son tripped and fell, and he hit his head really badly. And it was so intense not really knowing if he was going to be okay and what was going to happen. And that, like, we took him to the ER and he's okay. He needed some stitches. It was like, that's why I said, looking back now, I'm like, oh, that wasn't like a life altering event. But in the moment, it felt like it. And I think that the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because if something had not, like, if it had gone badly, or had debilitated his life, or if he had even died, like, what a terrible thing, of course. But also, I think that objectively, I would be thinking, even though, like, we don't want to lose the people that we love, but we know that life is, the life that we live right now is temporary, as we know it today. And so, can we make the most of it and make sure, looking back, have I done all that I can reasonably do to cultivate the relationships that matter to me, and to confirm with the people that I care about that I actually love them through my actions? And I think sometimes the generation of money and accumulation and wealth and all that can start to dominate, because we're thinking about our future family needs. And so that, like, I went through that like cycle of emotions myself. And I think it's important for us to periodically reassess, am I making the most of the good that I have today? And not just living for early retirement, not just living for financial independence. Have you thought about that yourself?
Yeah, and I think, you can look at it both ways. There's always those events, especially with young kids, right? Even little things. I mean, you like as soon as anything head based in stitches, I think it's a whole different level. But even just like weird falls, right? Things can happen. Crazy things can happen. There's always those crazy stories. But I even think about, like, what if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? Like, will the time that I always think about time with my kids is my main thing. Certainly my wife as well. My wife's my high school sweetheart. Yes. In short, yes. Uh, if we had, if we could bring all of my clients into one room, I think the one thing that they would advocate for is that we talk about work life balance a lot. I think in the physician community, it's tough too, because it is a real. I mean, it can depend on your specialty. Some are worse than others, but like, it's a true grind, and you can get caught in that. And before you know it, you can have that scary event, whether that's to someone you love or to yourself, that just kind of brings it all back, and you think, all right, like, what's most important to me? And I'm sure we all see these same things on, social media, on, like, when they asked the billionaire in their deathbed, do you wish you worked more? No, I wish I spent more time with my family or my friends. Like, there's so many examples of that being the true value in life. Again, clearly we need funds, and we need to earn income for a lot of things, but can you get too caught up in that?
Mhm. Yeah. Do people ever call you a money therapist?
Yeah. Yeah. We get that
Yeah.
quite a bit. Yep.
Yeah. And the only way in which I rebut that comment is because there are actual trained therapists who are really good at their job, and neither you nor I have that training.
Bingo.
So,
I always
so
joke with, before working with physicians, I was always like, oh, that's a cool term. And then when we, went full on physicians, I'm like, listen, we have clients that paid a lot of money for that degree, and they're very smart. You can't call me therapist anymore. Like, we got to change it. Like, just like money guy or something. We're good with that.
right. But there are some aspects to the conversations that we have that involve that work-life balance discussion, as you mentioned.
Yep.
And, like, I think that if there's one thing that I'd like to be able to convey to everyone who's listening today, it's that you should regularly have a self-analysis and conversation, if you have a significant other, and like your financial planner, if they're worth what you're paying them, and they're their skill set that they've developed, they will bring it up too, in that you should be evaluating what is the amount of time that I must dedicate to my trade in order to do what I enjoy doing. Because like, it's not just about like doing nothing with our time. We do want to be productive, and we enjoy the skill development of our respective careers. There's value in that. Yeah, there is a saying I've heard several times that no one in the hospital will remember how much you stayed late, but your kids will. And so being able to re-examine time priorities on a fairly regular basis, I think is wise, especially if you're in a position where you have a steady financial plan where you're steadily saving for retirement. If you've got kids, you're saving for their college or any other goals that are in the works. If there is some opportunity to modify the time commitments to more optimize them toward what you actually care about, it's good to talk about it out loud, because it's so easy to let 5-10 years go by in like a blink of an eye. And so like I think like periodic conversations about this is really important, just to make sure that if you could go down to zero 0.9 or 0.8 FTE and you could still reasonably reach your goals, would you do it? It's a good thing that we should all be asking ourselves. And like for you and me, like we're practice owners, we could work forever on our businesses, right?
My wife always says if I didn't get married and had kids, I actually would just live in an office all day. So yeah, I get it.
There's always growing opportunities, scaling, optimizing, simplifying, whatever. There's always something. And we have to I think it's really important for us to check in on ourselves and surround ourselves with people that will keep us honest. And that could be a spouse, that could be good friends. I know that is a role that I play regularly with our clients, and more as time goes on, like the longer the relationship goes on, do you ever see yourself in a conversation with a client and they're talking about something with like work, and you can clearly see that they're working more than they need to, but they just don't see it?
Yeah. And to your point, the longer it goes, the longer you are in the relationship, I think it just allows more barriers to come down. Where like at the start, you're trying to be like more professional than personal. But as we know in our world, it gets personal really quickly. I mean, very quickly. So yes, you nailed it.
So each of you that are listening or watching today, make sure that you're being honest with yourself about what supporting cast you need to keep yourself accountable with your time. Not just your work hours specifically, but just your lifetime. That like you're prioritizing what you actually care about. So like there's this doctor who's a friend of mine, friend of ours, that I'm thinking of too. He faced something that really called this all into question for him. It was even brought up, maybe because this person is not a client of either of us, but he mentioned, he's like, maybe I need to not be DIYing my financial plan anymore. And not because like he can't do it, but because in the moment he was just so like I could tell he's like, why does this even matter? And that taught me something. Not that he needs a financial planner. I don't know if he does or not. Maybe he will someday. But what that taught me is that we should also not be making critical decisions when we are under a great deal of stress. So like these moments might come. It could be like I know, and I won't speak specifically to like the things that I've heard some of you write about, really tough situations at work, with the lives of your patients. But I know even in that realm or personally, things happen, and you're compelled to be like, should I do something else? should I reorder my priorities? Should I change up what I'm doing? And it's really important, I think, to not to realize, hey, I'm going through something really traumatic right now. I'm not going to make any decisions about anything right now. I'm just going to let myself process this. But then once we've been able to settle, then it's a good time to not objectively, because we're never going to be objective with ourselves, but just less subjectively look back and be like, well, are there some lessons I can learn from this? What changes could we make? How do we do it? To make sure that we're making the most of our precious lives.
One of my favorite, either a new client or a current client, but when they start to ask us for what if plans with lower FTE, it's like one of my favorite things to start to model. And even current clients that we had, like we recently had a client last week send us a note that they're going to leave a very high paying private spot to go back to academic, and it will be a pretty substantial pay cut, but it was really based on work-life balance with his kids. And the email I sent back was more of a dad-to-dad email than it was advisor to client type email. It was more like, yes, way to go, brother. And again, we know their plan, right? We see their plan. They'll do great, and they can make those decisions. We have another client that on the verge of retirement, but their older grown kids still come with them on a family trip every single year, one big family trip. And it's like you start to see these things and you're like, that's like what you want to model your, as I say here, my life to be like. And the one thing we have a 7, 5, and 3-year-old now. The one thing I also remind myself, even like we were joking about like how we can get caught up in our business. And, my wife says, if I didn't have them down there, I'd likely spend even way too much time up here. But, eventually like our kids are also going to become teenagers and we're not cool anymore. And then eventually they go to college, right? And they're out of the house. And this all happens so quick. And I have young kids, but just talking to our clients that have had kids that it goes by so quick. So when I always think about, work-life balance, and I'm a very type A driven person and literally love what I do, but I, have to remind myself that this will always be here, right? And I hope that everything else is always there for me in terms of family. But, that can also, things happen, or, even just life happens. Like the kids get older, they do leave the nest. So yeah, I mean, when we saw that note come in to both of us, and then hearing your story as well, I think the main thing should be, we don't want you to have a story to trigger this thought. You should have these thoughts and these exercises without a scary moment, right? You should be proactive on this, not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's our personal lives from Tyler and I, or again, just, working with physicians day in and day out, and it doesn't even be physicians, it could be anyone out there. These things occur, and there's a lot more to life than the dollar signs, to say the least.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. To be proactive, because I think it'll help with better decision making, and then we're not chasing after a feeling. We're more looking at seeing the experience of our version of life that we really value, and really giving it the best chance of success, giving it first place in our life. So aside from that, I didn't have anything specific to share. Could talk about this forever, but then y'all would fall asleep, or you'd be like, when is this episode going to be over? So we can, I think we can sum it up there, that we hope that you value, financial planning principles, but we hope that you value it in the context of the value of life and making the most of it for yourself.
Well said. And thanks for sharing your story as well, Tyler. And to the individual who we know listens and watches all these episodes, thank you for sharing your note with us. And we're glad, a good ending is the final outcome there, but clearly it triggered a thought for all of us. So be proactive on all this. Again, tomorrow is never promised. And, an important part from the financial planning process too, of that soft side of money that needs to be a part of your financial plan. It needs to be a part of your daily thought. So good topic, Tyler. I'm glad that you brought up this one. And again, thanks for sharing your note as well. That kind of really brings it all in there as well.
Absolutely. I'll see you on the next one.
Catch you on the next one, my friend.
This information is for general purposes only. This information is not intended to be a substitute for specific professional, financial, or tax advice, as individual concerns vary. Please see a financial professional, CPA, and/or an attorney in regards to your own individual situation. Wealth Deals advisory services and financial planning offered through Vicus Capital Inc., a federally registered investment advisor. Olson Consulting LLC, offering advisory services and financial planning, is a state registered investment advisor.